everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Heather Ness. My name is Heather Ness, and I'm an intuitive numerologist and spiritual mentor. If you do like my content and you're enjoying the videos you move along, please make sure you click the subscribe button at the bottom. By subscribing, it really shows me support. It's obviously free for you, but it does allow me to continue making amazing content. And my goal in the next 3 months is to get 1,000 subscribers. So I would much appreciate your help in reaching this goal. I just want to say thank you for being here. Today we're going to talk about, well, first of all, it is the month of December, and it is one of my favorite months to begin planning and kind of strategizing for the next year. I know that everyone begins to set their New Year's resolutions or intentions or whatever you want to call it. And one of the cool things about numerology is that we all have a personal year cycle. So in numerology, there are period cycles, there are all kinds of different time frames that we look at. But when it comes to vibration, something you're going to really feel, your personal year is such an important number. Now, when it comes to numerology, what your personal year is, there's 9 cycles or 9 years, and you'll cycle through all 9 years or all 9 cycles to experience each of those vibrations, and then you're going to start back over again. And part of this is with numerology, you have a life path number, a destiny number, and a soul number, heart's desire, soul urge, whatever you want to call it. And those 3 numbers are really the main numbers that make up your chart. There's technically probably 5 or 6 that make up your chart, but those 3 are the most important, and those are the ones that you're really going to feel. And those are sort of like the lessons that you're here to learn. They also give you some of the gifts and talents that you have. Those numbers really bring out what your soul is here to achieve. And when it comes to Earth being a school for our soul, the personal years are a vibration that we get to go through, or like a next level school we get to go through, that really helps us feel through those lessons in your life path, soul urge, and destiny number in the lens of a certain view. And so when it comes to your personal year, you're really going to feel that vibration. Now, if your personal year is new to you, what I'd love for you to do is to figure out your personal year for this next year coming up, and maybe even the year 2024, the one that you're just ending, and look back and ask yourself, did I see sort of cycles or maybe themes throughout the year that illuminated that personal year? Like for myself, I have to be in personal year number 7. 7s are really about becoming the expert in something. It's also a very spiritual number. So many times people going through a year 7 cycle will have a spiritual awakening. And I definitely found that to be true for myself. And what's so interesting is I didn't even know that until I began the year. And so and I was already sort of beginning to feel that call to mysticism or, esoteric kind of practices like numerology. I was really starting to get in tune with my listening to my inner voice or my intuition. And so it truly aligns. If you go back year by year and figure out what those are, you can really see how the years, the trend or the themes around that year are really centered around the year cycles, which I found so fascinating. So let's talk about what is 2024. So 2024, the year that we're in, if you want to figure out what's called a universal year, which is the vibration or the year that will feel as a collective, like as a globe or the world will feel this energy. So if you add the digits together of the year, you have 2 and 2, which equals 4. And then a 4 for 2024, which will then add that to the 4 equals an 8. So we happen to be in a universal year 8, which means next year is going to be universal year 9. So this year, themes around finances, themes around power. It's really interesting that it happened to be our year of an election, because 8 also represents sort of leadership and power. It represents the financial sector. It represents manifestation and abundance or lack thereof. And that really does illuminate like the collective sort of experience that we've all had. Now we're going to have some kind of play on our personal experience with the collective universal year. But what we're going to feel more personally is what's called our personal year. So let's talk about how do we figure out a personal year. Now before we do that, I first want to say thank you so much for listening and watching my video. If you do enjoy my content and if you're enjoying this video, please make sure you subscribe down below. By subscribing, it really shows me support. My goal in the next 3 months is to grow to 1,000 subscribers, and it is free for you to subscribe, and it really does help support me. So if you're listening, please hit the subscribe button right now before we move forward. Okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about your personal year. How do you figure out your personal year? First thing you want to do is you want to figure out what is the year that we're figuring out. So we already know that if 2025, if we add a 2 and a 2 and a 5, we get a 9. So 2025 is a 9 year. So collectively, we're going to experience things that are themed around endings of periods of time, completion of something. 9 is really the completion number. It's also a number in which you see things kind of fall away or break away. And that really happens so that new things can happen in your year 1. So collectively, universally, we're going to be in a year 9 next year. How do we find out your personal year? We take the year 9 and we add it to something called an attitude number. Your attitude number, it's really simple to calculate. You take the month that you were born and the day that you were born and you add them together. So for instance, let's say we have someone that was born December 1st, okay? Doesn't matter the year because we're not going to include the year. To figure out your personal year, we include the year that we're going to be in. So let's figure out your attitude number. Again, someone that's born December, we're going to take a 1 and a 2 and add them together. That will be a 3. December is a month 3. And then if they're born on the 1st of the month, right, we add the 3 and the 1 together, we now have a 4. So if your birthday was December 1st or is December 1st, you have an attitude number of a 4. To figure out your personal year, you're then going to add that 4 into the number 9, because in 2025, it's going to be universal year 9. So if we add a 9 into a 4, that would equal 13. Numerology, we always reduce down to a single digit unless it's a master number or a number that repeats itself, like an 11, a 22, or a 33. So if we take a 4 and a 9, add it together, it's a 13. Add those two numbers together, it's a 4. So your year would be a universal year or a personal year 4. And so that's how you calculate your personal year. Pretty simple. You add your attitude number, which is the month you were born, the day you were born, to the current year that we're either in or the year that you're looking into. Add it together. Very, very simple. And one of the things I love about following the cycle of your personal year, first of all, if you know what your personal year is before you go into the year, you already know what themes are going to be coming up or popping up in that year. And being in a December month moving into the next year, you're probably already beginning to feel some of that pull, because there's sort of like a shadow in each side. Just like anything that casts a shadow, you're going to have a shadow for a couple months before the year happens, and you'll have a shadow a couple months after the year happens. What does that mean? You begin to start feeling the vibrations of that new year a couple months before it begins to happen. On the opposite side, you still feel sort of the vibrations of the previous year in the next year for the first couple months. So kind of understand what that shadow means. Having said that, let's talk about the whole concept of a personal year. Again, a personal year will give you insights into the themes. I have a bunny. You might hear him throwing around his little bowl. We have a bunny, his name's Mocha. He's adorable. We actually rescued him from a local park, my children did, and we adopted him. So we've had him for the last year. His cage is right outside my office, so sometimes you'll hear him throwing his little bowl around. He's trying to tell me he's hungry. So anyways, moving on. Going back to your personal year, you're going to see themes. You're going to understand what sort of cycle you're moving through. So let's just say you're a year 1. It's a personal year 1. Personal year 1 is really an exciting year because it is the beginning of a brand new cycle. And so you probably experienced the previous year of themes of like letting go, releasing, completion. Might have felt a pull of creating something new, but not sure how to like move that forward. In a year one, it's all about movement. It's about creating sort of like a path for your next 9-year cycle. It's all about sort of planting the seeds of what you would love to see grow over the next 9 years. So you're going to find themes around new beginnings. You're going to find themes around like really having independence. If you look at the number 1, it stands tall and by itself. And so when you're in a personal year 1, you're going to feel an urge to be more independent. If there are things that are sort of holding you back from being more independent, you might find ways to release those situations or those people that are sort of holding you back. Because in a year 1, it's really about a year that's a little more like self-focused, focusing on what makes me happy, what is it that I want to create. It's also a year that's all about, like I said, creativity. Year 1s are about that creative energy, or that creative juice is really beginning to flow. It's not necessarily always a year of a lot of action. It's when it comes to action, it's usually a little bit slower, but it's a year of really taking charge of your life and creating a path moving forward. What is it that you want to achieve, to create, to have in your life? And then creating those plans or those steps to move forward into that is so important for a year 1. Sometimes in a year 1, we can feel a little sense of overwhelm, simply because we have a lot of things happening. It can be sometimes slightly chaotic. We have the endings of some things that might still be lingering, and we have the beginnings of something really, really exciting. And so sometimes you'll have a bit of an emotional clash when it comes to, year 1 and how you feel internally about moving forward. The shadow side of a year 1 is sometimes we have a little bit of doubt about what it is that we want to move into or what we want to see grow over the next 9 years. Whether that's self-doubt, doubt in the idea, that's one of those things that you really want to put aside, is that doubt. When you catch yourself falling into that little trap of self-doubt in year 1, you want to ask yourself, is what I'm worrying about happening right now? Or is it just a worry, right? Sometimes we create scenarios of what if this happens, and 99% of the time, that what if never happens, but we spend a lot of time worrying and stress about that thing that never happens. Secondly, that happens when we do that is it stops us from moving forward into what we really want. So my suggestion, if you're in a year 1, is to move with like excitement into that thought or that idea, that new thing that you want to see sort of like born at the end of your 9-year cycle. This is the year to begin to plant those seeds and begin watering them, begin taking those action steps to move forward. And if you do that in year 1, you're going to have a beautiful year. Now let's talk about a personal year 2. Personal year 2s are a lot of fun. It's a year that's really about your emotions and partnerships and relationships. It's a year about love. And when it comes to partnerships or relationships, that is both personal and professional. So a year 2 is a beautiful year. If you happen to be in a year 2 cycle, it's a really good year if you're looking for love to really find it in a personal year 2. Many times people that find love or they're looking for love in a personal year 2 and are ready to take, to have their heart open to true love will find a real connection in a year 2. A personal year 2 does move a little bit slower. So we had the year 1 that moves kind of fast, and it's about moving forward in those intentions. In a year personal year 2, it slows down a bit. It slows down a bit so that you have the time to create and cultivate those relationships. Whether that's personal, right, finding the love of your life, or professional. This is such an amazing year to really dive into those relationships and create true connections, because through true connections, you're obviously going to find, hopefully, love if that's what you're looking for. And or you're going to have connections that are going to bring you to your next opportunity. A year 2 is just such a beautiful, loving year. One of the shadow sides of a year 2 that I would say is that if you're in a committed relationship that isn't quite the most, maybe not what you're looking for, you're going to find that those communication, that relationship is going to kind of, possibly fall apart. Because a year 2 is really about relationships. So if we're in a relationship that maybe isn't the healthiest, it's probably going to fall apart, and it's going to really be illuminated that it's not the healthiest relationship to be in. If you're in a beautiful, healthy relationship, this is such a beautiful time to really cultivate and connect on a much deeper level with that relationship. If you're looking for love, like I said, it's a beautiful year to find that connection and that love. It's really a time also to get to know ourselves and our boundaries. What is it that we're willing? Because in a personal year 2, we find ourselves sort of like giving a little bit more than maybe we would of ourselves normally. 2 energy is very like loving and caring, and they do care deeply about what other people feel and think. And so sometimes, especially if you have 2s in your chart, it's going to really highlight that self-giving. The key with 2, it's all about balance. If you're going to give, you also have to make sure that you receive equally, right? 2 energy, a year of 2 is about balance. So if we're going to work really hard, maybe we are networking at an event to create some kind of connections that can help move us forward professionally, we may want to take a day of rest afterwards, because it's really important to balance that energy of giving and receiving. If you're someone that is challenged with receiving, this is a great year to really open yourself up to receiving what the universe wants to give you. And to receive it with love and appreciation, not with the sense of maybe I don't deserve that, or I don't need that, or I don't have to have that. And if you find yourself in that energy of sort of feeling guilty for receiving, it's a really good year to really ask yourself why you feel that way and work through those emotions and those feelings that come up as to why you feel like you don't deserve equally, right? So it's really a year that is sort of heart-centered, both personally, internally, externally, and professionally, right? So you're going to feel heart-centered. It's going to be heart-centered for yourself, really setting up those healthy, loving boundaries for yourself, cultivating healthy, loving relationships in love and family. And it's also going to be cultivating really healthy relationships for career. It's really about partnerships. So if you happen to be in a year 2, focus on partnerships, focus on relationships, and give yourself time to have balance. Give yourself some grace. Those are great tips for a personal year 2. Now let's talk about a personal year 3. If you happen to be a personal year 3, year 3s are so much fun. I want to call this your yes year. So if you look at, if you take the first year and the second year add together, it's a 3. So a 3 is really a perfect combination of your 1 and 2 year coming together. It's a year of joy. It's a year of expression. It's a year for you to say yes to experiences. The more joy and pleasure and happiness that you feel throughout your year 3, the more the universe is going to reward it. So the beautiful thing about a year 3 is it's a very creative energy. Kind of like a 1, it's creative, but it's more independent. A year 3 is where you bring together those relationships and partnerships that you've had to create this creative endeavor. Or 2, water that creative idea that you had in the beginning and really bring some new light to it, right? It's like it's beginning to sprout. And that's what's so exciting is in your personal year 3, you're going to find that those seeds that you planted in your personal year 1 are going to begin to sprout. And so it's a year that you really want to make sure that you speak your truth. If you're invited out somewhere, make sure you go. This is a social year. It's meant to be social. It's meant to be around other people. So it's probably going to be a year that you're going to find that you're invited out to go hang with friends you haven't seen in a while. Maybe you go on some adventures with some family or friends. Maybe you feel internally driven to go on some kind of like an adventure or vacation or something like that. This is a beautiful year to do that. It's also a year that's really about communication. So the advantage to that is you're going to find that you're going to be able to really speak your truth. Your communication skills are going to be on point. The shadow side to that is sometimes if we are having a hard time with someone and communicating our truth to this person, it's really going to be illuminated. So what does that mean? If you have a relationship where the connection or communication isn't the best and you're not able to really project your feelings, it's going to really kind of come to a head, if you will. So you're going to find that sometimes you'll have communication challenges with people that you didn't communicate well with before, but now it's going to really bother you, and it's going to challenge you to really work through those communication things. It's a year that you want to make sure you laugh a lot, you have a lot of fun, and you find a creative outlet, because it can be a bit of a roller coaster, year of emotional ups and downs. And part of that is when we have like a creative outlet that sort of allows us to get, channel our frustration or our more challenging aspects of ourselves through that, it's really going to help bring up our joy. So whether that's painting, writing, drawing, expressing yourself like I am right now on YouTube, all of those are super aligned for year 3. So if you happen to be in year 3, make it your yes year. Say yes to every invitation you're given. Really dive in deep into communication. Find yourself in your own voice and your authentic voice and express it to the max. And if you do, you're going to have a truly beautiful personal year 3. Well, guys, this is the end of this video. I just first of all want to say thank you so much for listening and watching. I will be doing, this is a video 1 of a 3-part series. My next video is going to be on our personal year 4, 5, and 6. And then the one after that will be years 7, 8, and 9. So I hope you guys have a beautiful year in 2025. If your personal year is the next year, I'm going to have all the other videos linked in the description below. And again, please make sure you subscribe if you're enjoying the content. You guys have a beautiful 2025. Thanks for watching. Bye.